Caroline pulled into her parents' driveway at 11:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve, still wearing her faded work shirt after a long 63-hour week. The house glowed like a luxury showroom, warm lights spilling across the lawn. She sat in the car a moment, exhausted, staring at the lively shadows dancing in the windows. Her bank balance was $327, rent due in 2 days, but Grandma Lily had insisted she come. "You must be here, Caroline. It matters." Her voice had sounded different, serious. For her, Caroline came. She stepped out, walked up the brick path and opened the door. Heat and noise washed over her. Her mother saw her instantly and flashed a bright, showy smile. "Caroline, sweetheart, you made it," she called, loud enough for guests to hear. A few people offered polite nods before turning back to the real star. Her older brother Michael, standing proudly near the fireplace, flipping through vacation photos on the massive TV. "This one's from last week," Michael said. His wife, Emma, touched his arm. The Malibu sunsets were unbelievable. Their guests murmured in admiration. Caroline stood near the kitchen doorway, whispering to herself, "Of course. Tonight belongs to him again." Their father lifted a wine glass. "A toast to both my children," he announced. Michael with his business success and Caroline with her. He paused a beat too long. Dedication. Caroline swallowed hard at the word. She slipped into the kitchen, grabbed a glass of cold water instead of wine, and checked the time. 11:50 p.m., 10 minutes to midnight. Suddenly the doorbell rang, cutting through the chatter. Her mother frowned. "Who could that be? Everyone we invited is already here." Her father opened the door, and the room fell quiet. Grandma Lily stood inside the doorway, suitcase beside her. Grandma Lily stepped into the house without waiting for permission. The conversations faded into uneasy silence. Her eyes scanned the room, sharp and calculating, before giving Caroline a small, deliberate nod. Then her gaze locked onto Michael. "Before midnight," she said clearly. "I have one question." Michael smiled politely. "Of course, Grandma. What is it?" Her face remained unreadable. "Caroline," she said, turning toward her granddaughter, "why did you sell the $1.2 million Malibu beach house I bought you?" Caroline froze, her water glass stopping midair. "What house?" "Grandma, I don't own a house. I rent a studio." Grandma Lily reached into her purse and pulled out a photograph. It passed from hand to hand until it reached Caroline. She stared at the picture. Michael and Emma standing proudly on a wooden deck, ocean behind them, the exact house shown on the TV moments earlier. The caption read, "New Year's prep at our Malibu retreat." Caroline looked up slowly. Faces in the room shifted toward Michael. His smile cracked. "Grandma, that house belongs to a friend," he said weakly. Grandma Lily raised an eyebrow. "A friend? Then why are the utility bills registered in your name, Michael?" Her father held the utility bills like they were dangerous. He didn't open them. He didn't have to. The room already felt like it was tilting. Michael's forced smile faded, and Emma squeezed his arm, her knuckles turning white. "Okay. Look," Michael said, laughing nervously. "This is just a misunderstanding. Caroline gave me permission to use the place. She didn't want it." Caroline stepped forward slowly, heart pounding. "Michael," she said in a steady voice, "I never gave you anything. And I didn't even know a house existed until 5 minutes ago. When did I give you permission?" Michael opened his mouth, then closed it again, trapped. Their father hurried to intervene. "Mom, maybe you're confused," he said softly. "You bought the house for the whole family, not just for Caroline." Grandma Lily turned her head sharply. "Is that what you're claiming?" she asked. Their mother stepped forward, voice sugar-coated. Caroline wasn't stable enough back then to manage property. She had issues. Caroline turned toward her slowly. "Issues?" she repeated. "Name one." Silence spread across the room. Her parents exchanged a panicked look, unable to speak. Grandma checked her watch. 11:56 p.m. "He should be here by now," she said. Who? Michael asked, voice thin. Before anyone answered, the doorbell rang again. This time Caroline walked to the door. A man in his 60s stood on the porch wearing a gray suit, snowflakes melting on his shoulders. He carried a black briefcase. "Mrs. Collins," he said respectfully, looking past her at Grandma Lily. "Apologies for the delay. Traffic on the 405. Grandma nodded. "Come in, Mr. Bennett." The attorney entered with calm confidence. Michael stood abruptly. "I need the bathroom," he muttered. "Sit down," Grandma said quietly. Michael sat instantly, his face draining of all remaining color. Attorney Bennett placed his briefcase on the dining table and opened it, pulling out a thick folder. He spread several documents across the table. "This is the deed for the Malibu property," he announced. "Purchased September 14, 2021. Owner of record, Caroline Davis." Caroline stepped closer, staring at her name printed clearly on the deed. "I've never seen this before," she whispered. Bennett nodded. "We know." Here is the transfer document filed 6 months later, claiming Caroline gifted the house to Michael. He slid the paper forward. Caroline stared. "That's not my handwriting." Bennett replied calmly, "Correct. It matches Michael's." The room burst with shocked whispers. Emma covered her mouth. Their mother gasped. Michael stood again, trembling. "You're accusing me of fraud," he shouted. "Yes," Bennett said plainly. Their father stepped forward, voice shaking. "Mom, why are you doing this now? At a family party." Grandma Lily looked at him with something sadder than anger. "Because you lied to me," she said. Bennett placed more papers on the table. "You told Mrs. Collins that Caroline was hospitalized for mental health reasons. You claimed she couldn't manage property." Caroline stared at them. "Show the medical records," Bennett said. "We subpoenaed them." Bennett opened another folder and laid the medical records on the table. "There is no psychiatric hospitalization for Caroline in 2022, he said calmly. "Or in any year." He pointed to the only entry. "The only medical visit on record is for influenza. 2 days. Nothing more." Her mother's face turned ghost white. Caroline felt her stomach twist. They had lied about her mental health to steal from her. Bennett continued, pulling out additional papers. "Now, Caroline, you interviewed with several major companies in 2021 and 2022, correct?" Caroline nodded. "Yes, I made it to final rounds." Then suddenly, nothing. Bennett handed her a printed email. "This is why." Caroline read the message slowly, her hands shaking. It claimed she had a history of substance abuse, emotional instability, and ongoing psychiatric care. It warned the company she was a liability. The email came from a random account, but the IP address was traced back to her parents' home. "This one was sent to Goldstone Investments," Bennett said. Caroline stared at her father and mother. "You sabotaged my career," she whispered. Bennett handed her another email. "This one went to Microsoft, and this one to Bright Tech. All the same lies." Caroline set the papers down carefully, like they were burning her hands. "You didn't just steal a house," she said quietly. "You ruined my life." Silence filled the room. Suddenly, Grandma Lily stood and tapped her cane once on the hardwood floor. "Enough pretending," she said. Caroline turned toward her in confusion. Grandma's expression softened only slightly. "I contacted Caroline 10 days ago," she announced to the room. Gasps rippled through the guests. "She already knows everything. Tonight was a test to see if any of you would tell the truth." Michael's eyes widened. "What?" he whispered, horrified. Grandma Lily looked straight at Michael. "You had every chance to confess," she said coldly. "You chose to lie again." Bennett pulled out a spreadsheet. "Michael operated the Malibu house as an Airbnb rental for 39 months, he said. Average monthly income, $17,300. He pointed to the total. $674,700 in profit. Caroline stared at Michael. All that time, I was eating noodles every night, she whispered. Working overtime just to afford rent. Michael swallowed hard. I was maintaining the property, he muttered. Grandma answered, no. You were stealing. The clock on the wall showed 11:59 p.m. The TV behind Michael switched to the New Year's countdown. Voices from Times Square filled the room. 10:98. Bennett closed his briefcase. Michael, you have 5 minutes before I file criminal charges, he said. Identity theft. Fraud. Forgery. Michael's voice cracked. You can't. Grandma looked at Caroline. Your choice, she said softly. Criminal charges, civil lawsuit, or both. Caroline stared at the brother she once adored. The one who stole 4 years of her life. 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year, the TV yelled. But the room stayed silent. Guests hurried out quietly, avoiding eye contact. Chairs scraped. Glasses clinked. Only the immediate family remained. Michael grabbed his coat. Emma, let's go, he muttered. Emma moved toward the closet, but Bennett spoke sharply. You're not going anywhere. Michael turned. Excuse me. Bennett pulled a blue-backed paper from his briefcase. A restraining order, he said. Effective today. You are barred from entering or approaching the Malibu property. Michael's face twisted. Based on what? Bennett read calmly. Identity theft, fraud, and forged documents. Caroline watched Michael's hands shake. For the first time tonight, he had no excuses left. Michael's anger exploded. Dad said this was legal, he shouted. Their father spun toward him. You promised me she signed everything. You told me she wouldn't care. Michael snapped back. And you told me to send those emails. You told me Caroline wasn't ready for success. Their mother covered her face, crying. We said help the family, she sobbed. Not steal. They argued loudly, blaming each other in front of everyone. Grandma stepped closer to Caroline and whispered, Never interrupt your enemies when they're destroying themselves. Caroline felt a bitter smile forming. She finally saw their true faces. When the shouting died down, Bennett placed another document on the table. Caroline, he said quietly, when was the last time you checked your credit? She frowned. A year ago, maybe. Bennett slid a report toward her. Her breath caught. Credit score, 410. Caroline shook her head. That's impossible. I only have student loans. Bennett flipped to the next page. Business loan. $87,000. Personal loan. $95,000. Credit card, $42,000. All opened in your name. Caroline felt dizzy. I never opened any of these. Bennett nodded. Your social security number was used. Your signature was forged. Bennett laid out the final pages. Here is where the money went, he said. $180,000 toward your parents' mortgage. $95,000 to Michael. $65,000 for medical bills. Caroline stared at them, voice trembling. You buried me in debt to save yourselves. Her mother reached for her. Caroline, sweetheart. Don't call me that, Caroline said coldly, stepping back. Grandma Lily walked to the center of the room. She looked tired but firm. I have something to say, she began, pulling out a legal envelope. This is my will. Updated last Thursday. All of you are removed. Silence dropped again. Grandma continued. My entire estate, $3.8 million, the Oregon property, and my investments, go solely to Caroline. Her mother sobbed loudly. Mom, please. We're your family. No, Grandma said. Family does not commit felonies against their own blood. She handed the will to Bennett. He placed it safely inside his briefcase. Michael started edging toward the door, but Bennett noticed. Mr. Lopez, he called softly. 2 uniformed officers stepped inside. The taller one read from a notepad. Michael Davis. Michael's voice was barely a whisper. Yes. You're under arrest for identity theft and fraud. Emma screamed as the officer stepped forward. "This is insane. You can't take him," she cried, grabbing Michael's sleeve. The officer didn't slow. "Turn around, sir," he said calmly. Michael twisted toward Caroline, desperation in his eyes. "Caroline, please, don't let them do this." She met his gaze without shaking. "You did this," she said quietly. "Not me." The officer clicked handcuffs around Michael's wrists. Emma sobbed loudly as they read him his rights. Michael kept looking at Caroline until they pushed him toward the door. "Caroline, please," he shouted once more. She didn't answer. She couldn't. As soon as the door closed behind Michael, Bennett handed another folder to the second officer. "Next," he said calmly. The officer looked at Caroline's parents. "George Davis and Linda Davis," he announced. Her father stepped back. "Wait, no, this is a misunderstanding. We didn't know what Michael was doing." Bennett raised an eyebrow. "Your signatures are on multiple fraudulent documents." Her mother shook her head wildly. "Caroline, tell them. We're your parents." Caroline felt something inside her crack, not with sorrow, but with final clarity. "You stopped being my parents," she said softly, "the day you forged my name." The officers moved quickly. Her mother cried loudly as cuffs clicked around her wrists. Her father froze, jaw tight, eyes on the floor. They both begged as they were led toward the door. "Caroline, please. We were desperate. You don't understand." Her mother sobbed. Caroline stood still, arms crossed, watching them leave her life. For years she'd wondered why she struggled, why every opportunity vanished. Now she knew. Grandma Lily stood beside her, resting a hand on her shoulder. "You did nothing wrong," Grandma whispered. "They made their choices." Caroline let out a shaky breath. "I know," she said. By 1:34 a.m., the house was silent. Only Caroline, Grandma Lily, and Bennett remained. Grandma sat heavily on the couch, her energy drained. "Are you all right, sweetheart?" she asked softly. Caroline sat beside her. "I don't know yet," she admitted. Bennett organized papers at the dining table. "Caroline, there is one more thing," he said. He turned weary. "What now?" Bennett rotated his tablet toward her. A bank logo appeared, Cayman Islands. "Michael had an offshore account," he explained. $430,000. Hidden income from the Airbnb. Caroline stared at the number, stunned. "He was hiding it." "Yes," Bennett said. "And more importantly, he was preparing to disappear." He scrolled down to show applications for residency in 3 countries. Costa Rica, Panama, and Portugal, he listed. Caroline's chest tightened. He was planning to run away. Bennett nodded. "Within months, maybe weeks." Grandma shook her head slowly. "If we hadn't stepped in, you would have never seen him again," she murmured. Caroline looked away, trying to absorb everything. "Can we seize the account?" she asked quietly. Bennett nodded. "Already filed." He paused. "There will also be federal tax evasion charges." Caroline let out a breath. "Of course." Caroline's phone buzzed suddenly. A text from an unknown number. She recognized it instantly. "Caroline, please. I didn't know what Michael was doing. Can we talk?" Grandma leaned over and read it without shame. "She's trying to protect herself," she said. Caroline looked at Bennett. "Should I respond?" He shook his head. "Only if it helps the case. Otherwise, no contact." Caroline placed the phone face down on the table. "Then I'm done." Bennett finished packing his briefcase. "I'll file the additional charges in the morning. Get some rest." He left quietly, leaving the house colder and heavier. Grandma stood slowly. "I'm staying at the Sheraton," she said. "You should come with me." Caroline shook her head. "I'm too tired to drive. I'll stay here." Grandma hesitated. "This house holds painful memories now." Caroline forced a small smile. "Then it's time I replace them." Grandma kissed her forehead. Rest, sweetheart. Tomorrow we handle the consequences. She left with her suitcase. Caroline lay on the living room couch, staring at the ceiling in the dark. When her phone rang again, she didn't want to look. Los Angeles County Jail flashed on the screen. She answered slowly. Caroline. Michael's voice was rough. Caroline, please listen. I'll give you everything. The house, the money. All of it. Just drop the charges. Caroline closed her eyes. Michael, everything you're offering already belonged to me. Silence filled the line. Then Michael whispered, I'm your brother. Caroline let the words sit for a moment. Once they would have meant everything. Now they meant nothing. You were my brother, she said gently. Past tense. Michael inhaled sharply, but before he could speak again, Caroline ended the call. She placed her phone on the table, lay back, and let exhaustion swallow her. January 2nd arrived with cold sunlight. Caroline didn't attend Michael's bail hearing. Bennett texted her the outcome. Bail denied. Flight risk due to offshore accounts and severity of charges. 2 more texts followed. Her parents were granted bail. $50,000 each, borrowed from relatives. Your grandmother refused to assist, Bennett added. Caroline imagined her father calling desperate family members, explaining crimes he once denied. She imagined her mother crying into a phone. Caroline felt nothing. No guilt. No satisfaction. Just emptiness. Clean, quiet emptiness. She made coffee slowly, letting the silence fill the kitchen. Felt peaceful. 3 days later, Caroline rented a small moving truck and drove to Malibu. All she owned fit in the back. 2 suitcases, a box of books, her laptop. She'd looked at the house online so many times, but seeing it in person felt unreal. Modern design, tall windows, ocean behind it like a painting. She entered using the lockbox code Bennett gave her. Inside, everything was quiet. Michael's belongings had already been removed by court order. Only the furniture Grandma had purchased remained. Caroline walked room to room in silence. This was supposed to be mine years ago, she whispered. Caroline stepped onto the back deck, the ocean stretching out in endless gray waves. She stayed there for several minutes, letting the wind cool the heat in her chest. She pulled out her phone and snapped a picture of the horizon. Then she texted Grandma Lily. I'm home. 3 dots appeared instantly. Good. That's where you always should have been. Caroline read the message twice, breathing slowly. For the first time in years, she wasn't rushing to survive. She was simply standing still, letting the sea speak. The quiet didn't feel empty anymore. Felt like a beginning. February brought updates she hadn't asked for. Aunt Jessica called, voice hesitant. Caroline, your parents are selling their house. Caroline nodded silently. I know, she said. Jessica swallowed. They're devastated. Moving to Sacramento. Your father is looking for work, but with the charges. Caroline cut in gently. Why are you calling? Jessica paused. Your mother wants to talk to you. Caroline stared out the window. She can speak to my attorney. She's your mother, Jessica whispered. Caroline closed her eyes. She forged my name. She lied to every employer I had. She lost that title long before I walked away. 3 days later, Bennett emailed the settlement details. After the mortgage payoff, the sale of her parents' house left $620,000, awarded entirely to Caroline as partial restitution. She didn't attend the sale, didn't drive by for a last glance. That chapter was buried. In late February, Bennett mentioned in passing, Emma filed for divorce. Caroline paused. Already? Bennett nodded. She claimed she was misled. She's taking Michael's last remaining assets. Caroline thought about it. What assets? Bennett sighed. A small savings account. Car. Maybe $8,000 total. Caroline nodded slowly. Then she married him for the wrong reasons. In mid-March, Caroline met with the forensic accountant, Richard Chen. He explained everything carefully, laying out numbers like puzzle pieces. Total value stolen or lost because of the fraud, approximately $127,000, he said. Then he broke it down. Mortgage payments, fake loans, opportunity losses, credit damage, legal fees. Court-ordered restitution is $2.1 million, he finished. Caroline blinked. Will I ever see that money? Chen folded his hands. Michael will be paying for the rest of his life. Wages will be garnished. Sit seized. If he ever gets out. Caroline nodded. Fair enough. April brought slow healing. Caroline's credit score climbed steadily as fraudulent accounts disappeared. 410 became 580, then 630, then 695. She was approved for a small credit card. She tucked it away and used. In May, she bought a used Toyota Camry with cash. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers. Driving it off the lot felt like reclaiming part of her life. On a warm morning in mid-May, her phone rang. Peterson, your grandmother had a mild cardiac episode, the doctor said. Caroline froze. She raced to the hospital, heart pounding the entire drive. Grandma looked fragile but smiled. Don't look at me like I'm dying, Grandma said, lifting an eyebrow. I'm not. Caroline laughed through tears. Dr. Patel explained it was stress-induced arrhythmia, manageable with rest. Caroline squeezed Grandma's hand. You're moving in with me, she declared. Absolutely not, Grandma argued. They debated for 20 minutes until reaching a compromise. Grandma would visit every weekend, and Caroline would call her every night. Any trouble, Caroline insisted. You tell me immediately. Grandma nodded. Deal. Caroline stayed until visiting hours ended. As she walked out of the hospital, she realized something strange. She wasn't carrying the same weight anymore. June brought closure. Michael accepted a plea deal. Guilty to identity theft, fraud, forgery, and tax evasion. 8 years in federal prison. Eligible for parole after 5.5. Bennett called Caroline afterward. It's done, he said. Caroline stood on her deck staring at the ocean. How do you feel? She thought about it. I don't feel anything, she said softly. Not anger. No joy. Just stillness. Bennett replied quietly. That's normal. When the call ended, Caroline watched the waves roll in and out. The world was quiet, steady, unhurried. For the first time she felt truly free. August arrived with an unwelcome sight. A silver car in her driveway. Caroline walked outside and saw her mother standing beside it. Older, thinner, pleading. Caroline, please. I just want to talk. Caroline's voice stayed calm. You're trespassing. Her mother stepped forward. I've lost everything. Your father can't find work. We're barely surviving. Caroline raised her phone. You have 10 seconds to leave. Her mother cried harder. Please, Caroline. I'm still your mother. Caroline began counting. 10, 9, 8. Her mother backed into the car and drove away. Caroline returned inside, finished her coffee, and felt absolutely nothing. September brought news from her cousin Jenna. Half the family thinks you were too harsh, Jenna said. The other half thinks they deserved everything. Caroline shrugged. People are allowed their opinions. Jenna hesitated. I'm in the second group. Caroline smiled softly. After the call, she walked onto the deck. The ocean air felt light against her skin. Life was quieter now. Just her, Grandma's weekend visits, a small group of loyal friends, and a consulting business she was slowly building. She wasn't rich, but she felt stable. She wasn't surrounded by family, but she felt safe. That balance mattered more. New Year's Eve, 1 year later, Caroline stood alone on the deck of the Malibu house. She had chosen solitude tonight. No crowds, no chaos, no lies. Just the sea and the quiet she had earned. Fireworks glimmered in the distance, faint colors reflecting on the waves. She lifted a glass of water toward the horizon. Happy New Year, she whispered. Not to a crowd, not to the past, but to herself. She didn't win a war. She simply stopped fighting one she never agreed to. And standing there in the gentle wind, Caroline finally understood. Peace is a form of wealth too.